I feel like we have swapped roles in that I am now talking to you about wrestling. Maybe it isn't a swap because I'm about to say, and you are just talking to me about football, which I wouldn't necessarily do. But anyway, I've taken on the wrestling role and you are now changing away from wrestling and going into football.
Only because we got to Wembley. Like,
I mean, I didn't get to Wembley, but
my team,
your team
Hull
did.
City,
Yeah.
is going to Wembley. Are going to Wembley for the playoff final. So
Nice. Very good.
everyone wrote us off. We've beaten Millwall over 2 legs. And someone has very kindly said that I can go down to London for the playoff
I wonder
final.
who that would be. I wonder who said that. They're a fool.
Yes, they
They're an
are.
absolute fool.
Because that hotel was booked within minutes of you saying
I'm already getting on to everyone going, right, everyone's just going to have to come round. I will not be by myself for that weekend.
that. Only going to be away for like 36 hours.
That's great.
Less than that.
Yeah. Brilliant. Anyway, wrestling. Should we talk about that then?
Well, we are going to talk about wrestling, aren't we?
We are.
Because we've been watching a documentary. Another documentary on Netflix about WWE tangentially.
Yeah. So is it Hulk Hogan Real American? I mean, we have watched it, so I should know the title.
It's the Hulk Hogan documentary on Netflix.
It's definitely Real American, because Real American, I then later, because it comes up in the documentary, he had this like beer brand, didn't he? And that's what they called it, Real American. Because I was thinking, why is that the subtitle of the documentary? But that's clearly what it is.
Well,
But
that was his entrance music.
Oh, was that? Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay, say it. This is what I need to know. So it's a 4-parter.
We're just going straight into this now, are we?
I think we are. In my brain, I've just gone, I know we do a bit more of a chat, but actually now we've segued into the wrestling, we're doing TV.
Yes.
So, yeah, this is going to be the first of our 2 TV shows that we're talking about. A 4-parter on Hulk Hogan, on his career, or Terry Bollea, as his true name.
Yes.
On his career and how he got into the wrestling business, the ups and downs of his life. Interestingly, a lot of the information comes from his first wife, Linda.
Yes.
It was really, really interesting that she was brought in to give so much information.
I mean, there was a lot of time when I knew he'd been married once. I didn't realise he'd been married again. So, and
Well,
I knew
3 times.
I knew who Linda Hogan was. Like,
Uh-huh.
this isn't, she was never on the sidelines. She was always well known through his TV shows, through everything like that. So going back to Hulk Hogan, I imagine he was probably the only wrestler you knew growing up.
Yeah, along with like Big Daddy and what's the other one? What's it? Giant Haystacks, who I never ever knew. I just knew the zeitgeist, is that the right word? You know, just in the ether of pop
Yes.
culture, and didn't watch like the ITV wrestling shows or anything like that.
By the time
But
we grew up, it was kind of on the outs.
I knew what they looked like. I knew they wore those stretchy all-in-ones, and they were men with a bigger body.
Yeah.
And they would wrestle. And that's all I knew, but it wasn't part of, like, I was watching Murder, She Wrote and Hello, Hello. You know, it wasn't part of my world.
Because I remember quite early on in our relationship, or when I kind of started looking back at wrestling, which was probably about 9 months into our relationship, when you told me you could sell the DVDs. And
That's
then
right.
I put one on just for old time's sake before handing it across and never gave it away.
That's
and
right.
that was it. You created this.
I know.
And you turned around to me and said, I still remember this vividly. So, who's your favourite wrestler? I mean, I assume it's Hulk Hogan, isn't it?
Oh,
Which
that
is kind of
does
like
sound
saying,
nice. Yeah.
you like music? I assume you like Westlife because they've got the most number ones.
Yeah, that is so... Oh, that is quite cringeworthy now I come to think of it. But that is... I think that is your average person, isn't it? That is your person who just doesn't know much about it, but has heard of it and knows a little bit about pop culture, but not hugely about that area, that sort of sub part of pop culture. So yeah, I feel quite cringeworthy saying that now, but that does reflect my knowledge at the time, and I think that shows you just how big the character of Hulk Hogan was, in that I knew, having not watched the wrestling, I knew of him, and he also transcended into TV and film.
Yes.
And that's probably, I would know him from that Nanny film that he did. What
Mr.
was it?
Nanny.
Mr. Nanny. and also from one of the Rockies, which you're going to tell me which one it is.
Rocky 3 plays
you.
Thunderlips.
So he's moved into that territory for me at that age. And I just assumed that he was like
Everyone's favourite.
Everyone's favourite because he had the toys and because kids loved him, and that was how they created the character.
So, I mean, I think I've never been a Hulk Hogan guy, even when I was 11 and 10 and 11 when wrestling kind of broke through in the UK. Hulk Hogan was always like, I mean, he was bald. Like, he was an old man.
Yeah, which was interesting because when the first episode of the documentary goes all the way back to his childhood, and how he was in a band before he even got into the wrestling, but he always had that, and I think it was made more noticeable because he had the bald patch in the center of his head, but then he grew the hair around it, so he had the mullet around his hair, like long hair, but a bald patch in the middle, and a strong bald patch in the middle, which is why he wore all the bandanas, didn't he?
Yeah.
But the long hair made it look even more prominent.
Yeah, I mean, the person who I was first like drawn to as a wrestler was the Ultimate Warrior, who this covers in episode 2, because this episode 1 is the rise of, at least like his origin story. Episode 2 is the rise. Episode 3 is kind of his later career, and then episode 4 is the downfall. And boy, are there downfalls.
Yeah.
Just in case people don't know that. Hulk Hogan is quite a divisive figure in the wrestling world. Because he, for a start, his politics held back the industry. Like, he would have so much power that he would, if someone saw someone on the rise, he would just make sure that they didn't get bigger than him. And then
also racist.
Also,
later
life
a
racist. Yes.
Yeah, and really aligned himself with Trump, and you see that alignment throughout, and very much in the MAGA camp, and going to. And I remember this at the time. This is not, although it's touched on in the documentary, but I remember him showing up at the convention and speaking just after Trump was shot the first time.
Yes. But yeah, I was never a Hulk Hogan guy. And I think in the documentary it kind of says, oh yeah, no one really liked the Ultimate Warrior. Loads of people did. Okay. I think people in the industry that are being covered for this for this documentary didn't like the Ultimate Warrior because they had to work with him, and by all accounts he was a bit of an arsehole too. But kids loved the Ultimate Warrior. He just kept on getting fired because he was a dickhead. So my issue with this documentary for me is I learned nothing. And I think I could have edited it to have a better story. We have a 10-minute sequence where we talk about Hulk Hogan performing at Trump Plaza purely because they have got Donald Trump in later in the documentary to talk about his presidential campaign and how Hulk Hogan helped him out. But it stops for 10 minutes and we have an interview with Donald Trump, which Donald Trump is not my favourite politician.
No. And what he says, you can't believe it anyway.
No.
So he's not, in terms of documentary, it's an interesting thing, isn't it? Because you're documenting the lies that are coming through, or the story that's being presented to you, but you're not documenting the truth of what actually, like the factual truth. And
this is my other issue with the documentary, is that Hulk Hogan is a known liar. Like, he has made up every single thing. You know, there are stories and stories about how he has explained when he was at events that he can't have been because he wasn't there.
He just wasn't there.
Yeah, he was apparently auditioned to be the bassist in Metallica. Didn't happen. He talks about how Elvis asked to meet him. Elvis died before he ever got famous. Like, there is so many things where it's just bullshit,
and you feel that coming through the documentary as well, don't you? You whenever he speaks, and he's on camera quite a lot, whenever he speaks, you're constantly thinking, I think this is part of the story. I think, and maybe he believes it now because he said it so many times that it's become the truth. And one of the things that I liked about the documentary was it really, for me, it went into this idea, and they've got Werner Herzog talking about it.
That was out the blue, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
it was a bit, because I heard he was off screen and I heard the voice. I went, "That's Werner Herzog. What's he doing?" But anyway, he's a wrestling fan. But he's a wrestling fan because, and this is the way I've found my way into it. It's the performance. It's the theatre of it. It's the where is the line between Terry Bollea and Hulk Hogan? And a lot of what the documentary was saying is there is no line anymore.
Yeah.
He has become Hulk Hogan, and therefore he lives the storyline and he lives the fiction of this character that was created for him. He didn't even come up with it's an amalgamation of the character of the Hulk, which was on telly at the time, and Hogan, which was an Irish surname because Mr. McMahon Senior had an Irish past,
And they also tried to market to races around that lived in New York City.
Yes.
So they didn't have an Irish person. So
we have to
Hulk
have
Hogan.
Oh,
they
there
had
we
Bruno
go.
Sammartino for the Italians.
It's
They had
nice,
Pedro
isn't it?
Morales
Yeah,
for
and
the
you're sort of
Hispanic.
You're saying and actually,
Yes.
and part of it is you kind of your modern brain goes, oh, diversity, because you're making sure that everyone is accounted for, but it's not, because he's not Irish. He's not.
He's actually Italian.
And that's why he's actually Italian. So it's so confusing. But what I love about all these documentaries, and I think this one touched on it possibly the most, is this idea of the character versus the performer.
Yeah.
But I also had, to go back to your point, I had a real issue with the editing. It was the first time I've ever had to stop it multiple times and turn to you and go, I just don't understand where we are.
Yeah.
I don't understand where we are in time. I think even for me, who didn't know what was going on, I could see how the edits didn't make sense, and that they were showing me a clip of something, and then the next time they were talking about something and showing me another clip, I just knew that wasn't the right timeline.
Yeah.
From what I was seeing, it was like they were trying to force the clips into a timeline that they had decided, and I found it so confusing.
It's interesting that you've noticed this, because I noticed it massively. I was like, that doesn't really make
and
a lot
you'd
of
know
sense.
because you'd know the matches, know.
Yeah.
But even I was picking up, going, yeah, we've seen this match before, and that was 5 years ago. Why am I now being presented with this as if this is now in this timeline?
The thing that I find most interesting about this is not a spoiler for real life. 3 months after this documentary was filmed, Hulk Hogan passed away, which was massive. I was sat in a pub. It was someone's birthday from work. We'd gone straight out to the pub, and I got the message on my phone, a news alert, because I get news alerts about wrestling.
But I think it would have been breaking news just generally. It's just it's entertainment industry.
And I excused myself for the conversation, went out to the vestibule, and had to text a couple of friends, say, "Oh my God, this has happened." It was like Michael Jackson dying.
You remember where you were
when that happened. And I think it is genuinely interesting to see someone at the end of their life. It's the same reason that I love the Johnny Cash albums that he did, the American.
Yes. I know what you mean.
Yeah, where he did "God's Gonna Cut You Down" and "Hurt" and things like that, because you can hear in the voice that they are someone who used to have so much power and is now going away,
and you can see in the
physicality,
the physicality of still being in the gym, trying to keep yourself going. And also, you know me and my medical brain, I look at someone who's got that level of physicality in their later lives, who's in his 70s, and he's got the muscles of someone who shouldn't have them. Thinking, what are you taking?
The heart is pumping a lot of blood.
The heart is doing a lot of work.
Yeah.
And then also to find out how he died and hear from his family members. There's a lot that isn't being said in the documentary. That was interesting, but it clearly would have had to go through the family, so I do understand that. I found it an extra level to then go on Wikipedia and find out what had happened within his own personal life. The second wife was not mentioned at any point. The children, there's obviously been
the daughter,
real
Brooke Hogan, was not
issues with
interviewed for the show,
and there's an estrangement that so it's really there was another layer to the documentary. I enjoyed it because I learned a lot about the Terry Bollea and his life before wrestling, and also what kind of, and I got a sense of what kind of person he was, and that idea of being a character and what that has done to him and to his family. So I really enjoyed watching it, but I don't think we've seen others that are better in terms of their quality.
I enjoyed seeing Jimmy Hart, who was his manager, both on the road and like on screen and off.
A peculiar man.
Yeah, I mean he was a rock star, and then he was on a song that you would know.
Okay.
Maybe you wouldn't, but yeah,
that sounds about right.
Yeah, quite a famous American hit song from the '60s.
Okay.
That one-hit wonders. The house that being one step behind Hogan for 40 years built, because his house is fucking big.
And the fact that he only exists in the shadow of Hulk Hogan as well. So that's fascinating and that's a lot of people on the program.
Yeah.
They only exist because they have been associated with him in some way.
I mean, he was in wrestling before being associated with Hulk Hogan, and then went across. I think they were probably friends and stuff like that. So he was like a bad guy manager all through the 80s while Hulk Hogan was a big good guy. And then it was 1993 where they kind of came together, and
But it's interesting, in his later life,
yes.
this is what he's talking.
Oh yeah,
he's not talking about his own career.
No.
He's talking about someone else's.
Yeah.
So I think a recommendation for me to people who maybe didn't know about what had happened to Hulk Hogan in his later life, are interested in this idea of the character and the performer. It's an easy watch. It's not something where apart from me going, what happened there? And is that fine? What year is this? But that's just me. It's an easy watch in terms of you watch it, you take in what happens, and you're not sitting there thinking, oh, this is so in the wrestling world that I couldn't possibly understand it. And to, like you say, the fascinating thing is 3 months later he died.
Yeah.
So you're watching it with that knowledge and making all those judgments that we do when we know, well, you're not going to be here in 3 months' time. What else are we going to cover? Oh, we're covering that new show, Widow's Bay, that you got me into, but then also I had to hide behind a pillow to watch. So
this is brand new Apple TV comedy horror.
Oh, it's not just a comedy, because I was terrified. It's definitely comedy horror.
Yeah, okay.
In the style of some things that we'll go on to talk about, because we made a lot of comparisons, didn't we? So we'll come back to that.
The plot of this TV show is Matthew Rhys of The Americans and that film about Mr. Rogers.
Oh, that film about Mr. Rogers, yeah. So it's Tom Hanks and Matthew Rhys, isn't it?
Yes.
It's a beautiful day in the neighbourhood.
Thank you, yeah.
You're welcome.
He is the mayor of a small town that is based offshore on an island. You have to get a boat from mainland USA out to it. And the residents of the island are super, super suspicious and always sure that something cursed is happening to the island.
They just think there's totally supernatural. There's never a normal explanation. Yeah. It's always supernatural, and they've got a deep, dark history of sailors going missing and witches, and they're all a little bit kooky as well. It's almost like he's the only sort of sane one in the middle of it all, and the rest of them are all a bit odd. And then one night, a fog comes down. A local fisherman goes missing while out at sea, turns up later, and we have to find out what is happening in this fog on this island. Hilarity ensues. It's not funny, but it is funny. It's not. But I think if saying it's when you're saying it's funny, I think you would think it is like a pure. But it's so dark. It's so dark, and it had me really scared, And we said we would come back to this, but like it's Jaws, isn't it? Yeah, it's Jaws. I think it's Jaws, but from the point of view of the skeptical mayor, who wants to get the tourism up, because there is a writer from the New York Times or someone like that visiting. But it really also reminded me of like Hot Fuzz, Shaun of the Dead, that level of you're scared, but also people are saying things that you're giggling along to. And also with a Stephen King twist on it. Yes, that's the other thing as well. So major Stephen King vibes. I think if you hadn't have told me, or maybe if you'd said to me, oh, what's this based on? I would have gone, oh, it's a Stephen King novella that I've not heard of, or they've changed the title. I really, really enjoyed this. I'm so glad you told me about it because I'd never heard of it. It's totally up my neck of the woods.
Yeah.
That's not the right phrase.
Up my neck of the woods.
Let's have up my neck of the woods. But yeah, it's up my street. It's all of those references are like super duper. I mean, and also you've got the mystery of is there something in the fog? Like, you know, is there something there? Are they paranoid and are they cursed? There's this idea that you can't, if you get off the island, you're going to die.
Yes.
You know, so all of that, you've got that lingering in the back of your head of going, oh, right, if someone gets it, oh, well, we don't want that person because they might die. And, oh, that's stupid, blah, blah, blah. And they're trying to also, he's trying, the mayor, Matthew Rhys, is trying to get more tourism to the island as well. So there's this idea of it's, you know, it could be Martha's Vineyard. It could be one of these beautiful things, but it isn't. It's sort of crumbling. It doesn't have I mean, it's very clever, isn't it? It doesn't have Wi-Fi. You can't get a signal. Everyone's got to have a landline. So all those things have put into place like it's back in time. I loved it. I couldn't wait to watch another episode, despite the fact that I was absolutely flipping terrified. I had to close my eyes at one point because I was like, jump scare's coming, a jump scare's coming. And then also I pulled my duvet up to, like my little blankie up to my eyes, just in case as well.
But I also cannot say strongly enough how hilarious this is. There is a scene which takes place in the Historical Society, which if we get a funnier scene all year in any TV show, we have been tret.
It's the oddness, isn't it? It's just, but also knowing that you've got like this straight character in Matthew Rhys who's just like
it's very
trying
much,
to keep it going.
I think the humour is very similar to... Why have I got The Animals of Farthing Wood in my head?
I have no idea because that's not what...
What's your favourite film of last year?
Now all I can think about is The Animals of Farthing Wood. Oh no, it's The Ballad of Wallace Island.
There we go.
It's got the same cadence.
Yes, it has, yes.
Yeah, it's it's very dark humour, isn't it? Yeah, it's that dark humour that we love.
Even down to the fact in The Ballad of Wallace Island, there is a joke where someone walks along, has a newspaper in the background, walks along, and then we see a different headline which it adds to the joke. And that does that a couple of times.
Yeah, there's a lot to see, isn't there, in the back? You're absolutely right, there's a lot to see in the background.
It took me a little while to get the tone of this the first time I watched it, so it was quite handy that I could go back and watch it again with you, because when I first started, so you start off with like the typical Jaws scene of someone on a boat, and then all of a sudden some fog comes down, and then we get the titles. And then you're into a hard comedy, and I'm like, just what happened? That will take you a bit of time to get used to, I think. I heard you laugh, which is always always a good sign for a comedy.
But also scared. Just can't push enough how scared I was. Because I after this, I want to go and watch another episode, but I'm also nervous because I don't want to be scared again. But yeah, it is scary. It's horror comedy. It's like American Werewolf in London, which I absolutely adore. You know, one of my favourite films of all time. And I am scared by the horror in it, but I also love the comedic. It's dark comedy. It's not just like throwaway ha 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 nobgags. It's really, really dark. You know, strange.
But don't let that put you off.
It's that level of comedy.
Yes.
And I love all the characters. I think the characters are characters in inverted commas. And I want to know more about them because in the first episode, we only just kind of got almost like sketches of them. Like, oh, he's the guy that's going to walk in and go, oh, the fog's coming in. Yeah. And then she's like the assistant that's a little bit skittish. And, you know, that's what Matthew Rhys he's got a child at home that's smoking weed on his, you know, and the mother's gone and, you know, all of that sort of thing. He's like, he's a single father and what's he going to do? So all of that sort of stuff I'm really looking forward to.
Highest recommendation from me. I'm only one episode in.
Same.
So let's get some more in. But first, films.
I'm going to go first because we've made that decision off pod. And I'm going to talk about Mother Mary. When I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me.
What does she do?
She sings the words of wisdom, Mark.
No, she actually speaks the word of wisdom.
Oh, no. Well, you see, this makes sense. This makes total sense. This is why I'm thinking about singing. Because in the... I was about to say the Paul McCartney song, but it's a Beatles song, isn't it?
Song, yeah.
In Let It Be, those are the correct lyrics. But in this film, which has nothing to do with the Beatles, Anne Hathaway does a lot of singing. And I have been listening to the soundtrack on repeat since I saw this by myself in a cinema a couple of weeks ago.
I'm so jealous. That's only ever happened to me once.
Oh, it was so good. And I went to see it at the Everyman Cinema, which Mark has been encouraging me. I was trying to think of the right word. You have been encouraging me to go to the Everyman for a long time because I think you feel it's very neurodiverse friendly in that you're not really sitting next to people. It's not like a typical cinema where you're all stuck in. It's like lots of big chairs and sofas and things like that.
Just to be clear, that's not the reason why. The reason why is because it has films on at times that would really suit you.
Yeah, that as well. But I'm always put off by the price. Although, like, go to the Odeon and I'm paying very similar prices. So, you know, it doesn't really make that much sense in my head. But yeah, I was away. There was an Everyman Cinema, and I knew there was a showing on in the afternoon, and I thought, well, it's not going to be sold out. I could see that from looking online. I've never been to the Everyman before, and this would be a nice treat for myself, even though it would be sort of like, you know, close to 20 quid. It was more than 20 quid once I put a drink on top of it, but the drink did come like individually brought to me, and like it's great for a podcast audio, isn't it? My hands are out on like a little tray, and a little man brought it out on a tray.
And it wasn't just a little post-mixed Diet Coke, was it, that you got either?
I got a lovely rum, a lovely spiced rum and Diet Coke, and then put on my seat. And actually, I chose, because it's me, I chose like third row from the front, and it was in a small cinema, so only like 5 rows.
Yeah, none of them are massive,
Third row from the front, right over in the right-hand side, because I said to the bloke who was getting me to take out, just make me as far away from everyone else as possible. But when I got in there, I realised with the curvature of the room, I actually didn't have a very good like viewing experience, or I wouldn't have had. So then I just kept moving one along. And I did say to him, oh, look, if someone comes and sits in this seat, I'll move. And he was very good. And he just sort of went, look, if someone comes and sits right next to you in this cinema, they deserve to have you sitting in their seat. Because like, who would do that? Anyway, no one comes in the theatre. And I'm sitting there thinking, this can be brilliant. In the middle of the trailers, an elderly gent walks in from the back and sits like far away from me. He's sitting more near the door and sits there. I did think to myself, this is like not to be discriminatory at all, but I like this film, as we will come on to talk about, isn't actually, I don't think it's the sort of thing that maybe an older bloke would naturally find themselves choosing to go and see. I know that might be, you know, sexist and ageist, but that was my fear. I thought maybe not in the right screening. By the time it came out, and I heard the door go shortly afterwards, by the time I got to the end of the film, I turned around, he was no longer there. I think the door had gone and he had walked out pretty shortly after it started. The
closest I've had recently to another experience of me being in a cinema all alone was when I went to see Are You There, God, It's Me, Margaret, and it was me and a bloke in his 70s.
Yeah.
Now, that was a weird film to watch just with a bloke from his 70s.
This is what I mean. Yeah, this is what I mean. It's sort of like an unusual thing. But then, you know, we're going to get to our 70s and we're going to be going and seeing these films. So anyway, my biggest fear, it wasn't like, oh, some old bloke's like sitting in the dark with me. It was more that the ice cubes in my drink were making a lot of noise. And you know, when I'm like about noise, I'm really, really sensitive to any noise. And every time I picked my drink up, I was like, oh no, he's going to get really irritated by, like I would get really irritated by the noise in my ice cubes. But I didn't need to worry because he wasn't actually there.
Film any good?
Film's brilliant. Love the film. Two-hander between Anne Hathaway, who plays, I've listened to a lot of interviews on this, and it's kind of a combination of Gaga, Taylor Swift, Beyonce. You've got, you know, a big, big pop star, although the music is much more electro because it's Charlie XCX and FKA Twigs who've done the music, but a really a star that comes out and performs, performing star, and has all sorts of costumes and things like that.
Is it a strict two-hander?
No, it's
Okay.
not. But essentially,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
what
yeah.
it feels very theatrical, actually. And then you've got Michaela Cole on the other side, who is an old friend of the Anne Hathaway character, and the Anne Hathaway character is actually called Mother Mary. That's the name of the artist, and she has had success with her business, which is in fashion, and she's clearly been behind a lot of the Mother Mary fashion and the iconic looks, but at some point in time, which we do not know when or why, they have had a rupture. Anne Hathaway turns up at Michaela Cole, whose character is called Sam, at Sam's door, in the rain, in the middle of the afternoon, and essentially says, I need you to make me a dress. And then what we see play out is the to and fro between those two characters around the idea of creativity, around friendship, what it is to be a star, what it is to perform but actually be a real person underneath. So all of those ideas that I love, because we've talked about it with the Hulk Hogan documentary, this thing of I'm doing a performance, but underneath it all, I've had romantic relationships, and I want to feel more authentic, and all of that sort of thing. And it's very psychosexual. It's completely up my street, up my neck of the woods.
Well done.
I loved it. There is a point, so I have to make this point. There is a point in the film where I did go, all right then, we're doing this, are we?
Is it the inevitable point where it has to go into a third act and the finale of the...
No, it's not that. It's a creative directorial turn. And lots of other podcasts have talked about this as being the kind of... It's a creative thing that either you go with it or it completely takes you out of the film.
Yeah.
I think I love the film enough for me to go with it, but it's not my favourite part of the film. I could have done without this flourish that occurs. For me, the single white female, the obsessive, all of those references, a little bit of almost like a little bit of showgirls in there, the glamour of the performance, but also the wretchedness of it all, that for me, and these two women who have clearly had this relationship and we don't really know quite what, and the heightened dialogue, that was enough for me. It's like a haunted house story at one point. I was feeling, haunted house vibes. It is phenomenal. And the music, because you get the Anne Hathaway performances peppered throughout, the music is so enchanting, and it really takes you over. I cannot recommend this enough if you are someone who really loves that sort of two-hander, theatrical, two women with a past, what's happened, what's going to happen between them, and and then there's something a bit crackers in the middle of it that you may love or you may hate.
I look forward to. I will catch up on this.
I'd love to watch it again.
Yeah. Okay. Should we talk about a very similar film about a different singer?
This is quite a different turn now, isn't it?
Michael.
Oh, Michael.
I'm going to say up front that two things. One is, because this is the true story of Michael Jackson, who is a very, very famous person, I'm probably going to go into more of things that happen in this film than I would do typically on a standard narrative fiction film. The other thing that I'm going to say is, I consider Michael Jackson to be, at the same time, a musical genius, and although never convicted of anything, on the balance of probability, I believe him to be a predator. So I'm going to lay that on the cards, and I think I can feel that at the same time. I wouldn't go out my way to listen to any Michael Jackson's work, certainly as an adult, but if it comes on, I wouldn't turn it off, and I'd feel a little bit guilty about it, about listening to it. But I have the same thing with a lot of wrestlers. There are people whose body of work I respect in wrestling who are horrible people, and the world is best rid of. So that's where I stand on this matter. Now, when I heard about this film that came out that absolutely ignored the allegations and was produced by the family, I thought, no one's going to go see that. I'm in a competition with a few other people in a WhatsApp group where we guess the box office for films that come out through the summer. And I'm the only person who didn't put Michael in his top 10 for the summer. because I thought, no one's going to care. Like,
totally reasonable in my book. Like, I thought this was going to be the biggest flop of the century.
And then
how wrong we were.
And then the fans have come out. So with all my reservations, I felt I needed to see it in order to make an informed opinion about it.
And I actually think that's because I was just like, nah, not going to go and see it. And I have a very different relationship to the Michael Jackson music than you, because it really formed a major part of my childhood. The Thriller video is something that I grew up having nightmares about, but also loving, and the behind the scenes of the Thriller video is something that has remained with me and stayed part of my creative life. It led me to John Landis, led me to American Werewolf in London, and I remember that behind the scenes like I've watched it yesterday. I also really grew up with Jackson's music, and I do listen to it, and I feel so conflicted about it because, for example, I'm not going to be listening to any Lost Prophets anytime soon. You know, all of that sort of thing, and or Glitter, or all of those people. You list them, and you go, but why is it that I can listen to, Off the Wall or Bad, or and really enjoy the music? It's one of those things where it's the artist, but then I wouldn't watch a Woody Allen film. Like you go round and round in circles of that. But I did not want to go and see this film because to me it just seemed ridiculous, because I can listen to the music with that knowledge in mind. I didn't think I would be able to go and see a film and just sit there and take a version of reality that just isn't true. But you have, and this is what I'm coming around to, is I think you've done the right thing. If you're going to talk about something, if you're going to have an opinion on it, go and see it and give your opinion. And that's what you've done.
And when I came out of it, I was pleasantly surprised. No, I wasn't really. No. So this is a very, very well-made shit TV movie of Michael Jackson's life. Let me explain at the beginning. So Michael Jackson at the start is played by a young actor who I don't know called Juliano Valdi. We join the family as they are creating the Jackson 5. Coleman Domingo, who is an actor I really, really like, is playing Joseph Jackson. He has been winning a lot of plaudits for his work in this, and he's probably the best thing in it, but the characterization is... in Pinocchio, and I've not seen Pinocchio for years, but I imagine there is like the guy who owns a fun fair or
the one who's
like
got the donkeys.
Chomps on a cigar.
Yeah.
The ultimate bad guy. You never find anything else out about him.
Yes.
He feels like that. There's we never have any insight into why he's being such a prick to all these kids, other than he just wants them to do well. But it doesn't go down. Is it greed? Is it?
Yeah.
It kind of hint. You think it's going to go down that route, but then no, we go back. He's in a band with his brothers. Bubbles gets more plot development time than any of the brothers.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. It jumps and everything. This film is not interested with the Jackson 5. I'll make that very clear. There is one point where we meet them and someone's left, and it's just done with, no, your brother made that decision when he stayed with Motown and we left, and it's like, oh, that's exposition out there.
Who is the brother and what's he?
Yeah.
And my understanding is that there are certain members of the family that do not appear in the film at all.
Yeah, LaToya's in it.
Really, really big. Yeah,
LaToya's in it. His only sister.
His only sister.
And everywhere he goes, she goes everywhere she sees. There's no other sister there smiling down at she.
Is he wanting to scream all the time because he's only got one sister?
Yes, that's right. Yeah. That's well done.
Thank you.
Yeah,
that was pretty good.
It's almost like if there was another family member, they'd be behind a velvet rope.
Oh, that's a deep cut.
It's the only one I know. Yeah. Like someone was cupping. No, we'll not go down.
Let's not go down that route.
This goes through all the stages of his career, but it's almost beyond parody. Like, there is one point where he's having a conversation, like a real heartfelt conversation, and the camera is put on an older Michael Jackson at this point, played by Jafar Jackson.
Who is one of the Jacksons.
Yeah, he's the nephew of Michael Jackson. And I'll come back to him. So the camera is fixated on him as he's talking about his woes and everything like that, and the camera slowly pulls out and he's talking to a llama,
right? And
it's just like, really?
Which probably happens. You know, I mean, who's to say? the character of Michael, the character of Michael Jackson,
Yeah.
for everything around him
Yeah.
and all the things he was, is a fascinating character. We can be fascinated and we can
Yes.
be interested in what makes someone what they eventually become.
Yeah,
Because that little boy who was dancing and being beaten up by his dad
Yeah.
and abused in his family life, that creates the man that comes up behind it. So you can be interested in what makes someone what they later become.
Yeah.
But my understanding is that what he becomes is some form of Messiah or some sort of form of God,
I mean, I have to walk around this, but yeah. If I'd been accused of fly tipping and being one of the world's most notorious fly tippers, and there was a film about my life, I would hope even if I was proven innocent, I would hope that there wouldn't be things of me loading luggage into a car, loading loads of crap into a car,
and driving round the streets,
and then coming back with them empty. Yeah.
Oh, Mark.
Because there is 3 separate instances where he is shown to be a lover of all children, and I'm just like, what are you doing? And it just puts the horrible things in your mind. You cannot escape them.
Absolutely.
Music's brilliant, of course it is, because it's covering off the wall, Thriller, and Bad, and it stops there just as the allegations started coming out. There's good people in this. Common Domingo serves a good job in a really thankless role,
one-dimensional. It sounds, doesn't it? Well, all of it sounds one-dimensional.
Nia Long plays his mother, and probably is the best thing in this.
Okay.
Jafar Jackson, I think, encompasses the movement of Michael Jackson, but by the end, kind of reminded me of. Is it Jay Davidson who was in The Crying Game?
Yes, it is.
Looks more like Jay Davidson than it does Michael Jackson.
Right, okay.
And I think just one of the most famous faces in the world, so it's really tough.
It's hard,
I mean, some of the other people who are featured in this, including a lawyer that's played by Miles Teller, get miles more.
I forgot about Miles Teller being in it.
Yeah, get miles more screen time than they need to.
Is he playing Jackson's lawyer?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And gets an origin story of, him sat in a meeting and Michael Jackson's there and all the partners are like, no, don't say that. And Michael Jackson's like, I want to work with you.
Right. Great.
Why? Could we not find out a bit more about Michael Jackson's business?
Yeah.
There's a scene where Michael says, I don't want to do a lot of interviews because I want to have this mysteriousness all over me.
Yeah.
Could I understand
where
the
that's
thought
come
process
from
behind it, where that comes from, rather than just be something that happened and then it's never mentioned again? A couple of things that I forgot happened, and that was a bit of a shock. There's a really bad injury that Michael Jackson.
Yeah, really famous injury. You didn't know that.
I remember it happening in hindsight, commercial. But I didn't.
It's where a lot of his plastic surgery then came from that incident. And
also, there is a doctor that says, "Here's some painkillers for you."
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And then some arrows appear on the screen pointing down to them. We end at the Bad World Tour. There's been a jump before that, so we skip out pretty much at the end of Thriller to the subsequent World Tour with the Jacksons to the Bad Tour, and then there is a line of his story continues.
Yeah,
there's talk of them doing a follow up. I mean, what is that going to look like?
I think it would need to be quite. Well, there's going to be problems around it, not just for what they want to put out there, but also what is permitted given the settlements and the court cases. And there were still ongoing legal battles between the Jackson estate and the children who are now adults who alleged that they were abused by Jackson. I think a counterpoint to this non-biopic that you've been to see is that the BBC have recently put out a documentary about Michael Jackson going through from his childhood all the way through the allegations to what happened to his estate once he died and who took over his estate. And there's a fascinating, just because I'm thinking about your Coleman Domingo and your comment about Joe Jackson, there's a fascinating part in that documentary where Michael has just died and Joe Jackson comes out to face the press and starts talking about a new record label that he set up and how it's going to encompass Blu-ray technology. And then he brings a little pal on. And actually, it reminded me of, to go back to the Hulk Hogan documentary, it reminded me of that guy that Hulk Hogan had as his manager, Jimmy
Hart.
Yeah. So he brings on his version of Jimmy Hart going, and, Jimmy's going to tell you all about it. And then poor Jimmy's pulled to the front and he's like, and we're going, and it's nothing to do with his son dying. And that gave me more of an insight into a man who is just... something has gone wrong there. That when your son has died, the first thing you think about is this is a promo opportunity. That documentary was hard to watch. Actually, our friend Richard come recently to stay with us, and he had talked about the documentary, and that's what led me to go and watch it. And it was hard because I knew what I was going to see, and actually it plays a lot of the Martin Bashir documentary. And with hindsight, although I think we would have thought it at the time, there are some horrifying scenes of him with his own children in a way that I would be phoning social services and having them taken away. Like, I'm not even joking. Yeah. I looked at that with absolute horror, the way he was behaving around those children and what I would deem to be abuse of those children, and also other children's relationship with him. It was horrifying, and I think that's why I think it's such an interesting is not the right word, but I'm glad we're having this conversation because there's so much nuance to it and it takes me back to, I was thinking while you were talking, why can't we just have a proper biopic? If we're going to have a biopic, just make them proper. Like, I just get really annoyed. Like, we've had was it We Will Rock You? I wouldn't call it We Will Rock You. No, Bohemian Rhapsody, where I'm doing a drum beat and why don't we clap our hands together? Do. Oh, that's a brilliant bass line, Brian, and all of that sort of stuff.
I actually didn't mind Bohemian Rhapsody, to be perfectly honest. I thought the best one in recent years is Rocket Man.
Yes, Rocket Man was brilliant.
That is warts and all.
Absolutely.
People
Elton
accepting
John
their
not
flaws.
afraid of saying I have been a difficult person.
I mean, onto the sequel thing.
Okay.
They're not even going to have the songs, are they? Because people have come to this for Don't Stop Till You Get Enough, Thriller, Bad.
I mean, he did do that. I really like the music. It's hard for me to say, but I really like the music.
Heal the World?
I mean, I'm not a fan of Earth Song for its political background, but
name me two songs from Invincible.
Oh, I can't. There was a really sorry. This is like, after saying all this stuff, I'm now going to come out with something really, really like stupid. But he did a really good video to a song called Ghosts, where he was like had all the makeup on and everything. I really enjoyed the video because it reminded me of Thriller, but I can't tell you what the song Ghosts sounds like. No, Blood on the Dance Floor. That's one of them.
Isn't that an album?
It was Blood on the Dance Floor.
Oh, I think that...
Yeah, there was definitely a video because his face was shrouded in shadow and they got another guy, got a famous actor to be in the scenes.
I can name two Michael Jackson songs because I've gone through this and thought about this. I can name two Michael Jackson songs that I can tolerate after Bad.
Right.
One is Give In To Me, is that the...
Oh, Give In To Me. Yeah. I shouldn't be singing. You've made a big thing about it. I'm not listening to Jackson songs anymore and I'm singing them down the thing.
And I don't mind Stranger in Moscow.
Oh, yes. Stranger in Moscow. Again, a good video.
I couldn't tell you the video, but yeah.
Yeah.
You like Black and White though, don't you?
I do.
And Scream.
I know. Now you're making me feel bad for liking all this stuff.
I mean, you can like them.
I know.
You're not putting them on, like...
No, I'm not. I've not got these posters up on my wall and putting them on every day. But I will listen. And it's the production. It's the wall of sound production. It's the I think they are amazing songs.
There was a Christmas song a couple of years ago where I was like, oh, you don't hear that anymore. What? I wonder why.
God.
And yes, it
Yeah,
was.
it's that one.
It's the glitter.
No, but because we were
rock and roll
I remember
Christmas.
we were
Yes.
singing it to each other,
Yes.
and we were like, God, that's such a really good song. And then we
Looked
realised
up who it was.
we
and
could never
yes.
ever sing it again.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a complicated thing, and I mean it's an interesting discussion about the art and the artist and where people come out, and I don't judge anyone for where they come out in things. It just is what it is. It's such a complicated thing, isn't it? I find myself when we're talking about it now, I'm finding myself like running around it in my head and going from one side to another. But yeah, so how many stars are you going to give it, love?
2 stars. Because it's Antoine Fuqua has made a well-made movie. Mm-hmm. It's just everything about it is just absolutely vapid. And
I was on a call with a friend of the podcast, Beth. Hi, Beth. And I told her that you had come up with a cracking line on Letterboxd for your review. Do you remember your cracking line?
Is it? I think it was at its best. It's a well-made TV movie. At its worst, it's ironically enough somewhere between bad and dangerous.
That was it. It was the somewhere between bad and dangerous. Yeah. It was very good.
Yeah, well,
it's worth it for that line alone. Worth going to see it for that.
Put that on the poster.
Yeah. Well, we don't need to, love, because
Everyone's gone to see it. Anyway.
Everyone's gone to see it, and it's the best film of the year. Okay, that is it. We are done.
Who plays Jarvis Cocker in the sequel?
See, I would be interested in that. I'd be interested in that if it was that sort of film, but it's never going to be, given the estate and given the money that they've made so much money from his death.
Bob Mortimer can play himself.
Exactly, playing the lawyer. Oh, I mean that's a good. They didn't need Miles Teller. They just needed Bob Mortimer playing Jarvis Cocker's lawyer. I mean that's just a brilliant fact of like in life, isn't it?
Yeah, for people who aren't as geeky about 90s culture as us, when Jarvis Cocker was arrested for storming the stage at the Brits to waggle his ass while Michael Jackson was being lifted up like a Christ figure
by many children.
Yes.
Funnily enough,
Bob Mortimer represented him legally as a qualified solicitor
because he's qualified solicitor. Yeah, he's got rights in the police cells. Yeah. Okay.
Well, thank you for listening.
Thank you very much for listening.
We'll be back soon enough.
We'll be back soon once I've stopped being terrified by Widow's Bay.
Yeah, it's worth saying that in between 2 parts of this, Elena's seen the 2nd episode. And are you still with it?
Oh, you know what? Last night, you woke up at 3:00, went the loo, came back, and I also needed the loo. And I had to make myself go because I was so scared to go out on the landing. Just if you are of a nervous disposition like me, just be very aware that episode 2 of Widow's Bay has all of the things that you would be terrified of. I had to look at my phone during one particular scene whilst also saying the words nope, nope, nope to myself to sort of get myself through it. I mean, it's fabulous. It's brilliant, but it's all the things that we said it was. It's Kingian. It's got that Jaws factor.
Very much King. Thing in particular. Yeah.
In episode 2, it has all of the King stuff that's gonna give you nightmares. So yeah, really big recommendation. See you next time.
See you next time.